Hey guys, welcome back to the Nets, the home of unbiased views. This is a channel where I talk about cricket, I talk about football, and one of the big things that I would like to say is I am trying to separate those two now. Cricket would predominantly be on a podcast, and football will be covered, and by football I mean Arsenal will be covered on YouTube. Very shortly, I am planning on setting that up. I will be sending out. Yeah, I will put captions on the bottom of the video on the YouTube links. But if you have heard me before, let me know what I'm doing right, what I'm not doing right. If you think I am doing something right, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That will help me a lot. Talking about cricket, India versus Sri Lanka. It was supposed to be a tournament which would have gone just one way, and after the 2-1 one-day series, which seems the results may not be justified because Sri Lanka weren't really as bad as we thought. They had quite a few decent positives that came out of that series. The T20 game was again India won it by 38 odd runs, but I think it was a lot closer than the numbers justify. Put into bat, India managed to score 160. Pandya was having again one of the pain points for India has been Hardik Pandya's form in recent times. So let's take one step back. Having Prithvi Shaw getting at the top of the order, Prithvi Shaw, much was expected out of him, but sadly he got a golden duck. And Shikhar Dhawan, who's trying to make sure that he gets a spot in the team that will fly to the World Cup, Shikhar Dhawan had a relatively decent start, managed to get 30 odd, uh, 45 odd, and I think 35 runs. But that being said, again, the star of the show was again Surya Kumar Yadav. Seems to be in sublime form, seems to be extremely confident. Big things are already being said about him, and fingers crossed he is able to justify his talent. Again, one of those guys that has come in through the domestic structure, struggled a lot, got his debut in the 30s, and is trying to make the most of it now. He made a really good statement that getting a debut was something that was in selectors' hands, and now staying there will be in his hands. That just shows the attitude that he is having currently, and I hope everything comes in place for him. The pain points for India again is, I would say, the form of some of the batsmen that we have. Sanju Samson again getting out in the 30s. Much is expected out of him. He's supposed to be the next big thing when it comes to the shortest format of the game. And so far, Sanju Samson has failed to deliver. Ishan Kishan again came in a little later this time around, and he had to throw his bat. But the pain point for me would be the form of Hardik Pandya. Hardik Pandya has struggled. He's not looked the same. Even when it comes to his bowling, he wasn't really all up there with a bowling pace of 125 to 130. I don't really think he's an automatic selection. I've been saying that for the past two series now that Hardik Pandya may not be an automatic selection if his current form continues, and that is what it looks like. But again, Hardik Pandya being Hardik Pandya, I guess he will have enough game time in the IPL. Mumbai Indians will probably make sure that he gets enough time to spend in the middle and comes back all guns blazing when it's time to represent India. Krunal Pandya is again a bits and pieces player. If you look at where he stands with his selection, he will be a backup for for Ravindra Jadeja, and there's a huge difference between Jadeja and Krunal Pandya. So I wouldn't even be worried about representing India at that time with Ajay Jadeja still being there. uh, Chakravarti got his debut, and the good thing about Chakravarti was in the IPL we have seen Chakravarti zip the ball a little bit through. He tries to push the ball through, has a pace of somewhere around 80 81 kilometers an hour, and this time he had brought it down significantly. He was trying to get into 60s. He read the pitch really well and was bowling it really slow, and at least the first over he was really hard to pick. Brilliant captaincy by Shikhar, I would say, having put in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka got off to a flying start. Of the 2 overs, they had already knocked out 22 runs or so. So that for me is like a good start when it comes to T20s. Shikhar Dhawan brought in a spinner, then he was again gracious enough to bring another spinner in the power play. He was much better captain, much better T20 captain than he was a one day international captain. and we managed to see field placing as well. The Indian team got back to doing the basics right. Bhuvi and Deepak Chahar were pretty expensive in the first spell. But again, that's the behavior of the ball in Sri Lanka. The new ball tends to fly off the bat, and once the ball starts getting a little old, it grips the surface, it starts spinning, starts breaking, which brings me back to Yuzi Chahal. Chahal seems to be having found the form again, found the form at the right time. He will be playing IPL in most of the games. IPL, I think KKR has 7 games, and 3 of them will be played in Abu Dhabi, and 4 of them will be played in Sharjah. So, and that's just the round robin. And I think then that will, considering their current form, they will be playing the knockoffs. So, whatever games follow after that. But I think he's finding form at the right time. I still would like to see Yadav back into the squad. I really like the way he manages to rip the ball off, the Chinamen. It's brilliant. So I would like to see him back into the squad. But nonetheless, all the I wouldn't call them youngsters. All of them are 29 now, but they have put their hands up. Chahar managed to get into wickets again, and Bhuvi finally managed to get wickets again. Look like Bhuvi, and I wouldn't say look like Bhuvi just by the 4 wickets that he got. I would say he looked like Bhuvi just by the way he brought that ball in and managed to miss the stump by a whisker. That itself was good enough for me to say that okay, Bhuvneshwar Kumar is back. Fielding again, we were pretty spot on with the fielding. Didn't drop any catches. I would still say there's a lazy, languid approach about Prithvi Shaw. He doesn't really run to the ball. He lets the ball come to him, and I don't think that will fly much when Virat Kohli is back as a captain. But nonetheless, speaking of Prithvi Shaw and Surya Kumar Yadav, both of them might be flying off to England. Now, the plan is that if they have to go through the bio bubble, that will be 15 days, which makes them eligible for the third game. The third game that will be played in Leeds. Leeds historically in the recent past has had a really low uh, average first innings total is close to around 230 or so in Leeds. So that may not really be a place where you want to have 2 debutants. I wouldn't say 2 debutants, but 1 debutant and 1 Prithvi Shaw who was dropped for his poor form from test matches. But coming back to Prithvi Shaw and the current injuries that we have in the test squad in India, I can see Prithvi Shaw coming in right after Virat Kohli. Uh, so as it stands, there is a high possibility that Rahul manages to open along with Rohit, and Mayank may come down, or Rahul and Mayank and Rohit come up, and Rahul comes down. But there is also that position where Ajinkya Rahane might have to sit out, and this might just be the place where Surya Kumar Yadav makes his debut. The takeaways from this tour specifically would be the 4 players contending for that middle order place, and that would be a swinging all rounder, a bowler who can swing and can bat and throw his bat around. And now we have Bhuvi, we have Chahar, we have Shardul Thakur, and Chahar, Bhuvi, Shardul Thakur. Who did I miss? Well, 3 of these, we have a decent pool to pick out from if we are in a test match. So I'm looking forward to Indian cricket in the near future. Seems like good times are ahead. And India plays tomorrow. There is a high possibility that both Shikhar and Prithvi Shaw may not be available for tomorrow's game, which tells me that there is every possibility that Devdutt Paddikal makes his debut. And just for the fact that team's balance has to be maintained, I have a feeling that Nitish Rana might get another chance. I may not put Rituraj Gaikwad and Paddikal in the same time, and maybe Paddikal or Rituraj Gaikwad get their chances, but that would be in the last game. Both of them might play together in the last game, but I think tomorrow it might be unlikely that we see both guys getting debuts. There is every possibility that one of them will get a debut if these two are not available for selection. Krunal and Hardik Pandya might still play. I'm not. I don't see them getting dropped, but I think that Sakaria might also get a debut, and either Bhuvi or Deepak Chahar might set out. And I think the other Chahar, Rahul Chahar, might get a game as well. So let's see who who sits out. It is again exciting times for being an Indian cricket team fan. Everybody is putting their hands up and doing what they are expected to do. So that being said, the moving from there to West Indies versus Australia. Now that was again a team exciting poised game going into the final day, final one day international series decider, and then it turned out to be something that fizzled out. Playing a game in Kingsmead, average first inning total of somewhere around 220 in recent past. Whoever came in were probably trying to set a score. I mean, that was the only way to bat out of this pitch was to not lose wickets in the first 10-15 overs and then probably slog through. Considering West Indies and their batting lineup, I would have preferred that approach, but West Indies tried to throw their bat at everything and then they managed to get bundled out of 153. I keep saying this again and again, and I really feel that this game is really an audition for finding spinners for the T20. I both Australia and West Indies do not really seem to have the firepower like they used to have back in the days. Australia has been trying Swepson. Australia tried Ashton Agar. Australia has been definitely going forward with Adam Zampa. So these will be the players that will definitely be a part of the World Cup squad that goes to UAE. The surprising piece for Australia would be who will be the opener. The opening slot is currently so indecisive. They have tons and tons of players that do really well in T20s when they come overseas. But when it comes to Australia, uh, Warner holds one end up and the other player always has to go around in the round robin. I think that this might be just that time when Labuschagne might get a nod and he will be in that squad when it comes to T20s. He's setting the stage on fire in England and in the Australian domestic. But Mitchell Starc getting back into form. 3 games, 11 wickets, was being scored at an average of 4.09. Again, slow wickets. The average does not really count, but the fact that Mitchell Starc is back again and he's getting that zip, he's getting that extra bounce that he's known to be, that seems like good signs for Australia. Australia being in Group A, that group is already a group of death, so Australia would definitely welcome his form back in again. Pakistan is supposed to play West Indies again in the upcoming, I think it's day after tomorrow, and I will cover those games as well. The sad thing about that was COVID has hit that team, and one of the T20 games is going to be dropped. So now from 5 T20 games, they are going back to 4 T20 games. Earlier, they had planned to drop a test match for 2 T20 games. So I don't really know if they will be benefited at the end of it, considering all these points and all these teams games now will be counted for to play the World Cup. So the top 7 teams play, and then the bottom 4 or 5 teams have to go through a qualifying matches to play the World Cup. So this is something that may not really work for Pakistan or for West Indies. But let's just sit back and hope the best team wins. West Indies, as always, a better T20 game than a T20 team than they are an ODI team. So keeping my fingers crossed, hoping for a good game. And that's all that I have for today. So if you have come this far, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what I'm doing right. Let me know what I'm not doing right. I will be glad to work on the content. And I'll try to bring in a guest again sometime soon in the near future. But until then, have a good day and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you.